Good to see you.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Thank you. I heard you were eating.
I had a little soup.
You had a soup. Yeah, we have a different time right now.
Yeah, here in Utrecht, the lunch is breakfast. I like it.
Yeah, okay, super. Do you want to sit down or do you want to stand? What?
We can sit. Let's relax.
Yeah, okay, super.
We make them stand. Thank you guys for coming out.
Well, Giancarlo, you're one of the biggest stars in Breaking Bad. How does that feel?
Well, you know, I love the show. I never feel like I'm the biggest star in the show. The show is really about Walter White. But when I came into the show, it changed a bit because Walter also needed a nemesis. So every anti-hero or hero in a show needs the opposite. And we had great energy together, so it was a great show to work on.
Super. And yeah, of course, not only Breaking Bad was something you did. You did a lot of movies. Usual Suspects. How was it to be on a movie like that?
Well, you know, I've been blessed to have done many movies. 2 of them are on the 100 greatest films of all time list, which is a great honor. The Usual Suspect is one of those films, a great movie. First-time director Bryan Singer directed that, as well as Do the Right Thing, directed by Spike Lee, 100 best of all time. So it feels good to have a very varied career that I've had. Working in television, working in film is a really interesting experience.
It's a big blessing, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
To be a working actor is a big blessing.
Indeed. I think the best is, I think a lot of people have questions here. So, let me do the audience?
Absolutely. We'd love to have some questions answered. So,
okay, thank you. Wie heeft de vragen voor Giancarlo? Nou,
Ik had een vraag, maar die heeft hij al beantwoord.
Breaking Bad, your character acts in an incredibly calm and controlled manner. Je moet de microfoon ietsjes verder naar je mond toe doen. In Breaking Bad, your character acts in an incredibly calm and controlled manner. And I was wondering, did it take a lot of effort to get into that mindset, or are you naturally a very composed person?
well, I always say that actors love to act, so I'll say it did take some effort to relax and to be calm, and which takes an incredible amount of listening. You know, when we listen to each other, sometimes we're on the phone and multitasking. Gustavo Fring would just look at you and really take you in. So it was an acting style that I developed for that particular role, and I got used to it. It was being mindful to pay attention.
Okay, thank you. We have a next question already.
Hello, what happened to your character in Chile from Breaking Bad?
Well, you know, that was a great inspiration to me. What was not written, you know, when I first went to do the show, one of the stage direction was hiding in plain sight. And that was a great inspiration to developing Gus, to be someone who is a baker, a banker, a businessman. You know, that the manager at Los Pollos Hermanos, who on the side you find out is a very big meth mogul. So to me, the backstory of what's not written is important in developing character. What happened in Chile? In my mind, Gustavo was a made man, someone who had parents who were in the military, and he was untouchable, is what you didn't know, that they could not kill him because he was from a very well-renowned family that had a lot of power and control. Are there a million other things in Chile that could have happened for Gus? Yes, and I hope that maybe one day we could do the show called The Rise of Gus, and you'll find out.
That would be awesome.
Better call Gus.
I think we have another question right in the corner.
I know you. You're the dentist from Payday 2 also.
I am.
Yeah. Helping Bane with breaking out Dallas, helping Hoxton out.
Exactly. I got a call from some guys from Europe who asked me if I would be willing to do Payday 2, and I thought it was a fun game, and I thought that it would give me an opportunity to parody that calm, relaxed dentist guy, and it was really fun to do.
Okay, thank you. Next question.
Hello, I got one question. When can we expect you in Better Call Saul?
Well, you know, I love that show. I love that Vince Gilligan is doing it, and Bob Odenkirk, who's so great at what he does. I would only go back to that show if it were an opportunity to spin that into The Rise of Gus. So we'll see.
The Better Call Saul is one of the biggest shows on Netflix right now.
Yeah, it's a huge show. I think it's going to be an incredible hit, and I've let Vince Gilligan know I would go back to that show for 1 or 2 episodes if they were able to spin it into a show about Gus.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Next question.
With all the time you spent making meth on Breaking Bad, do you think by now you could make it in real life?
With the proper help and a very good chemist, of course.
Thank you. Next question.
If you could join any series that's going on right now, what would you join?
Oh yes.
That's a difficult one. Any series that's on the air right now, it would probably have to be Better Call Saul. I think that show is great. Although I do have great respect for Sons of Anarchy, and I like what they do on The Walking Dead, although I don't want to be eaten by any zombies. So I'm trying to stay alive now. So Better Call Saul.
Super. Next question we got here.
Hi. I was wondering, for Revolution, you ride the horses, and did you already know how to do that, or did you have to take lessons?
I have ridden horses, and I was really eager to get back on a horse. So for Revolution, we were shooting to begin with down in the Carolinas, and the horse guys I knew because I had done a show with them previously. So I went down and rode for a few weeks, but I did know how to ride, and I really love riding on camera, so it was really, really fun. Although, for the audition, Jon Favreau asked me to go to a horse farm and have them video me on a horse, which I thought was quite odd. So I lived in Connecticut, so I went to this horse farm, but they only had English saddles, so you had to mount the horse from a block because it's so high. And I did really well, and they videotaped it. What I found out later is Jon Favreau did a Western with a bunch of actors who all said they could ride. And when they got there to shoot the movie, none of them could ride. So he wanted to make sure that everyone who was up for, who had asked to be a part of Revolution could ride, and I was one of the people that could. And my horse's name was Flash. He was great, because he had been in the movie business for 20 years. So he would anticipate the action. You know, they'd say, ready, and when they'd say, and, he was waiting for action, and he'd want to go. And I'd go, no, not yet, no, not yet. But I love animals on film, and my horse was a really good one.
Thank you. Next question is right here.
Question?
Yes.
Yeah, the question. And the question about your new movie, Maze Runner 2. Could you tell us something about your character?
Yeah, if you've read the books by James Dashner, there are 6 of them. I play a guy named Jorge in Maze Runner 2, and the name of it will be called Scorch Trials. And so we finished shooting the movie in Albuquerque, New Mexico about a month and a half ago. And Jorge is a guy who is running a scavenger protected community outside of the bad guys. So he's living on his own, and you think when you meet him that he's a really, really, really bad guy. He's very stern, he's very smart, but he decides to do something that is very different than what you might expect. So a big, huge movie coming out in September, Maze Runner 2, Scorch Trials. I think you're going to enjoy it.
Thank you. The next question, right over.
Hi, how was it to play Regina's little puppet in Once Upon a Time?
I loved Once Upon a Time, the series, playing 2 different roles. To play, Regina's side man, who was so in love with her, was a real gift, because I like Lana Parrilla quite a bit. She's a great actress, and she is also beautiful. But to play the guy, the man in the mirror, was also a lot of fun, especially and specifically the episode, the Genie episode, where you really found out how he wound up in the mirror, was really, really, really pretty terrific.
Thank you. Next question right here.
Hi, what's your favorite Breaking Bad line?
Is everything to your satisfaction?
was your favorite scene? What was your favorite scene to play in Breaking Bad?
Well, I have many. Box Cutter 401 was a favorite of mine because there were no words. And for me to do things with my body physically where I don't have to speak are always a great challenge, where you can convey what you want to say without words. So that was one of my favorites, but I have to say one of my favorite episodes ever was Salud, where I go and I take care of the old business that had been outstanding on the books, where I killed Don Eladio. That episode to me is one of the best ever.
Hey, thank you. The next question. Oh, right there.
What's your hardest scene to play in Breaking Bad? The hardest scene you ever had to play in Breaking Bad?
It had to be Salud because it was an episode where I was speaking Chilean Spanish. We had 6 different Spanish speakers, all speaking different dialects.
Oh.
So that had to be the most difficult episode because I was working hard to understand what everyone was saying, and also speaking in a Chilean style Spanish was a challenge. But it was also a challenge because I was the most vulnerable. You had never seen Gustavo Fring humbled, and Don Eladio really cowed him, humbled him, and so it was one of the most difficult episodes to do. I'd always been strong and quiet, fearless. And in that episode, I was 20 years younger, and Donnie Eladio calls me on the carpet for selling meth to his workers in the chicken boxes, and he's not happy about that. But I was trying to explain to him that was the only way to get his attention. And so that episode proved to be a very interesting one.
Okay, thank you. Do we have some more questions? Yes.
Okay, today it's 29th of March, and for people that love Angel, another series, it's a special day. And there's an actor called Andy Hallett who passed away this day. And Andy Hallett, I don't know if you know him. He passed away on the age of 33, and he was here 10 years ago, where we are right now. And it's the last time I saw him. Fans actually remember him by wearing something green, which belongs also to the character, because the character he played was a demon, which was green. Okay, it comes down to my question. Which things do you take with you on your life's journey, for the people that inspire you and move you, that are not here anymore?
Well, it's an interesting question. I had a piano teacher years ago named Sal Mosca, and I was just speaking to someone about him, and I think of him often because he came to Utrecht, and he didn't play. He was a jazz musician who played the piano, and he played very few places in the world. But one of the places he came to was Utrecht, so I think of him a lot. What do you take with you on your last journey? What do we take from people who've inspired us? We take their heart. We take the love of their artistry. And I would venture to say that's why I'm here, because I really love what I do, and it's very impressive, and it of course fills my heart that people enjoyed Gustavo Fring so much. So when you talk about the Salud episode or the Box Cutter episode, or the iconic nature of who Gustavo has become, I think it's a great testament to the writers of the show, but also to all the people that have inspired me. Gregory Hines was a dear friend of mine, tap dancer who's not here anymore. Sal Mosca, who's passed on and really taught me how to play music and be respectful of different cultures and the language that music brings to people's lives. It fills us up. This is what we do as actors. So for me, it's the personal interaction. It's the memory of someone who's touched us. And this will never go away because it lives in our hearts.
Thank you. The next question. Yes.
Hello, here I am again. You voiced the character of Black Spider in the Suicide Squad animated movie. Any chance we'll see you play the character in the live-action movie?
I hope so. You know, I've been doing some work for Warner Brothers, and I love doing voiceovers. And so this was a fun thing to do for me, to use my voice to express myself without having to see my face. And I think that more and more animated films are coming. I am a part of one. which is coming out next year, directed by Jon Favreau, and it's Jungle Book. So look for that. That'll be out in, probably they're saving it for 2017 at the beginning of the year.
Oké, thank you. Zijn er nog meer vragen vanuit het publiek?
We have some questions in the back.
Yeah. Well, I asked you yesterday with, you know, my favorite part of the series, of course, the death scene. How was that for you? How was that?
Yeah, Face Off was an interesting scene to do because it took a 4-hour makeup, and they applied a prosthetic to my face, and I sat in a chair for about 4 to 4.5 hours while Howard Berger, who did Narnia, who works with Greg Nicotera at K&N, one of the best makeup artists in the world. But it's very interesting to act with one part of your face not working. It's a challenge, but it certainly was an interesting episode to do.
Yeah, but they did also a little bit of CGI with it?
They did. After we did the scene about 20 times, they took a marker and they marked inside of my jaw to make a place where they could see the dots to match up the CGI, which was done later, to move the jaw after you saw into the hollow face.
Yeah, it was an awesome. Next question. Yes.
Hi, you played Gilbert Lawson on Community, the brother of Chevy Chase. How was it working with Dan Harmon and Chevy Chase?
I like Dan Harmon a lot. I think he's a genius writing that show. I came into the show at a time where he and Chevy were fighting, and it was kind of a political mess on the show. I've known Chevy for a while, or I was an acquaintance of his years ago. Interesting guy, I like what he does, very respectful, who came to me and said, you know, I'm not an actor, I'm a comedian, and I can't remember my lines. So I said, should I expect that when the camera rolls? He said, yeah, you might want to. They improv a lot on that show. I think that's a great style of working, but very different than what I do, but it was fun.
Okay, thanks. Next question. Yes, there we have one.
Your story, Breaking Bad, is one of the most serious stories. The way it's written, it's nothing funny about it really. But the way you end, the way you die, is a bit cartoonish. Do you think it's a style break from the rest of your story?
I don't think so. It's a good question, because when Vince came to me to ask me about how he would try to have my character die, we talked about many things, but he thought maybe an explosion would be great. And the first thing I said was, I think that would be great as long as it didn't veer off into a cartoon. I think it's one of the most amazing deaths ever. I think you could look at it as being slightly cartoonish, but I think it's very real that could happen. So I believe it. I think he did it very well. In the end, I believe it. But it was a requirement that it could not venture off into sci-fi. But I don't think there's any other way to kill Gus. You had to explode him.
Super. We have a next question.
In Revolution, there's a new kind of actress girl. There's one to kill you, I believe. I know her name, but she's
Tracy Spiridakos.
Yes. How is it to act with her?
I like her a lot. She's a young actress from Canada. I think she's very good at what she does. I think the most difficult part of her playing that role was that she wasn't 17. But she did a good job.
Are we going to see her more?
I don't know. I hope so. She's in Los Angeles trying to get another series or another job. So I don't know. I hope so.
Thank you.
Are you in this moment busy with other projects where you can talk about something?
I am. I'm doing a film now with George Clooney and Julia Roberts, directed by Jodie Foster, called Money Monster. It's a really fantastic script. I hope we're making a great movie. I've worked for a couple of days, and I go back after I finish here to finish the film.
Okay, super. And when is it coming out?
It'll be out in a year from now. So probably April 2016.
Super. And can you tell a little bit about the movie, what it's about?
It's about a show called Money Monster that George Clooney is the talk show. He's the host of the show. It gives money tips to people so that they can invest in the stock market.
Oh. Super. I think we have a next question. Yes.
Is there any chance we will see Sidney Glass anytime soon again?
There's always a good chance. I love Eddie and Adam who have created that show. I think it's a really fantastic show. Just because Sidney's mirror is cracked and he escaped and was let go and freed by the Ice Queen, Elizabeth Mitchell, who I work with on Revolution, doesn't mean he won't be back. So look for me to be back there sometime next year.
Cool, thank you. Next question. Yeah, we have a lot of questions right there in the corner.
Hi, are you by any chance allowed to share anything about your experience behind the scenes on filming the Scorch Trials?
Ask again?
Are you by any chance allowed to share anything about your experience behind the scenes on filming the Scorch Trials?
Well, you know, I love the movie. I think the director is really, Wes Ball is the director. He's really a great visionary. If you've read the books, you of course know the story. I think the movie sticks really closely to what the books outline. But, you know, the kids are trying to get away from Wicked. And they're, at this point, picked up in the desert. They go through sandstorms and everything else until they finally see a little light in the distance and some burnt out buildings, and they meet Jorge. You know, the film, Jorge is running his own show, but he believes that there is an entity in the mountains who could save them all. So he decides to guide them and help them get there. And then everything changes after that, because obviously you know the story. It's the world's at war, the earth is scorched. But you're going to be amazed at the first Maze Runner movie. I think was really good, but the second film that we have made is going to blow your socks off.
Super, thank you. Next question. There was another one right there, I think. Yeah? Hebben jullie verder rest nog vragen, jongens en meiden? Oh.
A more uplifting question. If you could play a character on Game of Thrones,
and be original inside. So unfortunately I'm not as well versed on all the television shows as probably all of you. But I do love that show from what I've seen of it, but I haven't seen enough to make a choice as to who I'd want to be.
Thank you so much. You're doing a lot of, you're a big villain right now. Do you love playing villains?
I like the bad guy. I think that many times we as an audience watching a television show like to see the interaction between the nefarious villain and the hero or anti-hero of the show. But I'm not playing a bad guy in Money Monster. I'm playing the head police chief who answers a hostage situation that happens, which is really what the movie's about. And I'm happy to be playing someone who's on the right side of the law at this point.
Okay, super. And are there any actors or directors where you have the feeling that's someone I want to work with in the future?
Well, you know, I've worked with some really wonderful directors, and there's some young ones coming up who I think are extremely talented. I'm a director myself, so you know, working with different directors allows you to grow if they are inspirational. I hope to be the same in my next movie that I'm directing, to direct my cast with the certain fervor and inspiration that I can muster. But directors I want to work with, you know, I have to say that Doug Liman is a wonderful director, and I'd really like to work with him. I know he's getting ready to do a new movie with Tom Cruise. He is someone I feel like directs action and character equally as well.
Okay, super. Are there any villains? You know, the Heath Ledgers, everything. Is there any villain from the past you wanted to play?
know. I think I feel as if James Cagney was an inspiration of mine back in a movie called Public Enemy. So he inspired me to not be afraid to play villains that you could also fall in love with. And there haven't been many of those villains. Fortunately, Gus Fring is one of those villains. I think that when you watch a villain on television, if he's non-stereotypical and he's more of someone that you could see yourself being, you would love that villain a lot more. And I think I achieved that with Gustavo Fring.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, we've got a question right here.
Hello. I wondered, is there any type of role or type of character that you haven't played yet, but that you would really very much love to play? Or do you have a favorite type of character?
Well, Pushkin was a great poet in Russia. Many years ago, he was a mixed race. He was very smart. He was a writer. I would love to play him one day. There's some historical figures who I always feel like I would like to play. I've always wanted to play Martin Luther King. It hasn't happened yet. They've made a lot of movies about him. But yeah, there are historical figures and other poets and musicians. Charlie Parker would be a guy I always wanted to play. There are a few out there.
Thank you so much. Giancarlo, our time is up for now. So I really want to thank you for being here.